And we are live for the Power Chat series with special guest Melanie Strauss for the Del Rey post show. How are you doing, Melanie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. So I'm super excited to have you on the show. The tournament was a couple weekends ago, but why don't you tell everybody how you did?
I did great. They let us go early as adults. So I did traditional forms and traditional weapons and won my divisions. So it was always a good time.
So you're a Florida native. This was a Florida tournament. Tell me a little bit about how it ran.
So USA Sport Karate, the state of Florida always does great. We're in the South District here, so it's always convenient for us. Hop, skip, and a jump as far as the local tournaments. It's nice because they pull from all of South Florida as well as Central and West Florida. So they always do a really great job running the state circuit here.
In terms of competition, Florida is a standout state for competition and the caliber. Can you talk a little bit about the caliber of competitors across all divisions there?
Absolutely. They had great competition all the way down from the little kids, the 5 and unders, all the way up to the adults. What was super cool that I noticed, there were a lot of adult competitors and colored belt adult competitors. It's always good to see the adult black belts, the teenage black belts kill it as always, but it's nice to see adult colored belts participating as well.
I feel like that perfectly transitions into the next question or something kind of related to you. For anyone who doesn't know, Melanie's background is in Taekwondo, but she recently made a shift because she herself is expanding as a martial artist. Can you tell a little bit more about that, Melanie?
Absolutely. So I grew up training Taekwondo here in South Florida. And recently, about 3 years ago, I started training Goju Karate at World Tiger and Crane down in Miami. So it's always nice to expand, learn different stuff. It's nice that some of the tournaments we get to do Korean stuff, we get to do Japanese stuff. So it's always really cool to kind of change it up and learn new things.
So when I first started on the NASCA tournament, I too have a Taekwondo background, and I noticed that in combined divisions, Korean would not be as successful as karate and Japanese style. But now that women's divisions are separated, what are your thoughts on doing both Korean and Japanese, and how do you mentally prepare and physically for that switch?
So I find it really interesting, and it's nice for adults that some tournaments we get to actually do both if we choose. So that's really nice. Mentally, competition is always a mental game. So competing Japanese, Korean doesn't really change that for me, but it's definitely nice for open tournaments that if you have a bunch of karate competitors to bust out some Korean Taekwondo kicks to change it up is always a nice thing to show the judges.
Now, you won forms and weapons, but you're also a fighter. Tell me how you balance training at a high level for all three being what I like to call a triple threat.
I hope to call myself a triple threat soon. It's always nice to be able to do all three. It's nice as an instructor to show to my students also that fortunately martial arts, you have all three of those options, and it's nice to challenge yourself and really try to excel in all three things. So that's always nice to see. It'd be nice to see more female fighters and promoters pushing that to have more female fighters out there. So they're doing a better job this year. The last few years I've found to really push the women fighting as well as much as the men.
Now, you competed in the 30 plus division. I saw that in the Black Belt magazine world rankings. You were listed as #1 for the women's forms and weapons competitors. Tell me a little bit more about getting to that spot.
It's been really cool. I started competing in NASCA probably a long time ago, back in the 90s when I was a kid. So to come back as an adult and really push myself at, the 30 to 39 group, we have some solid competitors on the NASCA level that we get to compete against. So it's really, really cool to travel and go to all these NASCA tournaments and see our group kind of expand and challenge each other and push each other.
So you competed on NASCA in the 90s. Did you take a break at any point in the middle from then to now?
Yes, I took a long break in the 2000s. I stopped training a little bit. I was teaching, going to school and doing regular life. I actually trained martial arts in Israel for a short period of time, so that was really cool. And then once I purchased my school and started running it, I have some students that really like to compete. And training at World Tiger and Crane is a lot of amazing female acts to follow as well. So it really helped push me back onto the NASCA circuit in the last 2 years.
Now, what brought you to train in Israel?
I was really lucky and got to train in Shotokan karate, Krav Maga, and judo in Israel. It's an amazing place to live. The training is out of control. So it was a really, really good time. And again, just another challenge to train in different things and just, build my martial arts career.
Okay. So, you teach as well as a competitor. How does you as an instructor inform your competition or vice versa?
As far as, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like, so how do you bring being an instructor or being a competitor to the mat?
As far as being a competitor to the mat, it's really nice, especially for my beginner students. Usually they just see me as instructor here. So anytime I can bust out a competition kata or, a weapons kata, and they're like, oh, you can do that. So it's really nice to see. And like I said, I started competing when I was a little kid. So anytime I can, pull that out of my new students or my younger students, it's really, really good to see and bring them to the state circuit that we just participated on in Delray, or even better, to get them into that NASCA competition. It really boosted not only my martial arts career, but my confidence and just me as a person as a whole. So competition is always nice, and to bring it to the mat as an instructor is a good balance.
How have you seen, or can you sort of recall potentially the NASCA circuit from the 90s and how it's different in 2022?
So I actually remember like vividly US Open 1995.
Was it still in Disney World?
Yes, and Mike Chat and just a lot of Michael Bernardo, just a lot of amazing martial artists that I remember looking up to as a little kid and being like, that's the level that I want to be at. It's interesting to see where NASCA is kind of going and has come as a traditional martial artist versus, creative and extreme. It's nice to see traditional kind of bouncing back and giving you guys a little run for your money as far as that goes. And to see it on the national level and, international level and the Olympics and stuff is really, really cool. But NASCA is definitely, was an amazing experience as a child competitor, and it's even cooler as an adult competitor and then as an adult instructor for my students. So it's a nice circuit to be on.
So you're at the karate school right now. It's 9:10 at night, same time zone in Florida as it is in North Carolina. Can you tell me a little bit more about your sort of day-to-day schedule as a person and martial artist, and how martial arts plays into that?
Absolutely. So I'm very lucky that it worked out for me to own my own school and really make a living and a career out of getting to train martial arts. There's always the boring part, business and things like that. But it's really, really nice to have, we have students all the way from 3 years old up into their 60s. So it's really nice to balance. I get to train a little bit, teaching, young kids into, older adults. It's a nice balance, and it's very, very cool that I get to do what I really love to do every day.
I feel like instructors deep down have, or at least me as an instructor, I had like a favorite age range to teach. And I think for me, it was definitely not the super young guys, but it was also not like, it was like that in between, that preteen, because I felt like they were just like sponges and they soaked up everything and they improved really fast.
Yes.
Do you have a specific age range that you might be better with kids than I am? Do you have a specific
It's funny. As far as enjoyment, just for fun purposes, that 3 to 5 year olds, they're a trip. They're wonderful, and same thing, very, very spongy. But definitely between, I would say, 11 to 14 is the time where they really start maturing and are like, it clicks, and I can definitely see that improvement and that willingness to work, and they just want to learn, and they just want to learn, and they want to see their growth. move quickly. So I have some wonderful 11, 12 to 16-year-olds that I'm very much looking forward to, as far as them teaching one day, and them really helping out the younger students and growing on their level.
So, as an instructor that also competes, because those two don't necessarily go together sometimes, I feel like we have an eye for talent. How do you, as an instructor, notice when a student is ready to go into competition, start maybe at the Delray tournament, and then work their way to a national level, or maybe stay at the regional level and keep improving? How do you push your students, and how do you know when they're ready?
So that's a great question. And for every student, I think it's a little different. I have some students that are 5 and are just ready and raring to go. And I have some students that, are 11. We have a student here who's been competing his whole life. So it's really, really nice to see. And I like to expose all of my students to competition. What's really, really cool about South Florida is we have like small local tournaments. Then we have our USA Sport Karate, our state circuits. So we have a lot of tournament options to really see how far they want to go as far as competition goes. So we have some students that compete just locally. We have some students compete on the state level. And then we have other students that really want to work and push themselves and help push me to get to that NASCA level. So it's nice to have that different range of competition level.
That's such a great point, because I think sometimes instructors can feel intimidated or worried that their student will be turned off by competition, by not performing or placing exactly where they had hoped. But having that range and that spectrum allows people to dip their toes in the water, or have a nice scale of where they might land.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this was the Delray post show. What's your next tournament?
So our next tournament coming up, we have the Redlands in Miami, I believe in about 2 weeks. And then our next big tournament is going to be the Masters in Miami on Saturday, May 7th. That's one hosted by Sensei Joe Anon. So that's going to be our next real big tournament that we plan on attending and bringing a solid group of Taekwondo and Karate for that tournament.
Great. And now, last question for you. How do you prepare, but also keep your energy up to do so many competitions?
It's always challenging. It's nice that I have students that really want to compete. We have a great team of students over at World Tiger and Crane also that compete regularly. So we have competitors from 5 up to my age and some older. So it's really nice that we all really push each other. And when you see each other, get better and improve, and see that kid, lose to somebody at this tournament, but improve on it the next one, or beat that kid that they've really been pushing for. It makes me better. It pushes me as an instructor, and it really pushes me as a competitor when we have, a solid group working together.
That's great. Well, it was great to have you on the show, Melanie, and congratulations on your win and your future successes.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. I really appreciate you having me.
Of course. And for everyone watching, I hope you had a nice time watching the Power Chat series with Melanie. And tomorrow I will be interviewing Philip for I will have to go check, but it's at 10 in the morning. But come back for the Power Chat series tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and have a great night.
Awesome. Thank you.